Hello and welcome to the Reignite Podcast. I'm Danielle Bertrand, your host, and over here we're activating assignments and burying burnout. I am super excited because we have a phenomenal guest with us, Apostle Elisa Harney, who is the founder of the Grow Gathering, the Hideout, and so many other things that we're going to get to talk about today. But what I'm really excited about is whoever you are, when you start listening to this today, you will not be at the end of it because that's just who she is. That is the type of relationship she has with God, and she has been pivotal in my life. The reason you even know my name probably has something to do with something that she confirmed with what God told me to do. And so I'm super excited. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, that's great, but you need to watch this on YouTube because you're going to hear and see something that is going to change your life. Apostle Harney, please we welcome you to the podcast, and we're super excited that you're here.
I am honored to be here. I'm excited. I was excited when I got the invitation, and I was like, "Of course, I'm going to be here." Where, like you always tell me, where be. So I'm here, and it's going to be released today. I believe that it's going to be a blessing. I believe that it's going to be inspirational. I believe that it's going to be exactly what you said, activation oriented. So I'm ready.
So, Apostle, let's start with what is an assignment? Because a lot of people are looking for assignments. They want to be activated. They don't know if they're currently in one or where to find it. So, can you just tell us what an assignment actually is?
That's so good. When I think about assignment, I think about the thing that you specifically were purposed to do. Sometimes one of the things I've realized that we get caught up in is a mission, the completion of a mission, and the end of an assignment. And so sometimes we can be mission oriented and not assignment aligned. And so when we think about assignment, it's connected to your purpose, but it's not the sole end of your purpose. It may be seasonal. It may be conditional. It may be something that at some point takes a pivot from one thing to another. But the important thing is to be in alignment with it for the time. I noticed that something happens when we get assignments. Sometimes we immerse our identity into the assignment. And so then when the assignment is over, we don't know what to do. And we are in a place where we are trying to figure out, well, who am I again? But your purpose is what you're innately called to be and operating in. Your assignment could just be the intention of that particular purpose for a specific time, if that makes sense.
No, that makes absolute sense. And I think when we think about being in school, our teachers gave us assignments. That was not the end all be all of our lives, but it was something we needed to do to move on to the next thing. It was something we needed to learn or show them that we already knew how to do before we moved on to the next thing. So for somebody that says, hey, well, I think I'm in an assignment, but I don't like it, what would you tell that person?
It's what you said about school. I didn't like tests. I didn't like homework.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, there are a couple of reasons. And I think when we stop being so self-centered when it comes to assignments, because we're looking at our comfort zone, we're looking at if we are, do we feel at peace in it? Do we feel like we're getting out of it what we want out of it? But when you're divinely into an assignment, then there's something that's trying to get pulled out of you or get pulled in you. And I always say this that we like, especially those that may be performance oriented, you want to do well, you want to succeed, you want to exceed. And I always say you want a well done when sometimes you're not well done. Sometimes you are raw on the inside. Sometimes you're still bloody because you've not been healed in certain areas. Sometimes you're bloody and raw because you've been through a season where you've not yet been safe. And so we want a well done, but we're still raw. And so we may not like the fact that we're in the fire, but we're being refined. If we're in an assignment where we're dealing with people who are antagonistic, if we're dealing with people who are maybe a bit intimidating, maybe the real assignment is that we build up fortitude. Maybe the real assignment is that we learn how to set our face like a flint. Maybe the real assignment is that we stop being so temperamental and learn how to be anchored to an assignment, so that we can learn some consistency. And so, whether or not we feel, I always say that, honor your emotions, but arrest your actions. And so I might not feel good about it, but if I know that that is the place that I'm supposed to be right now, then I have to learn how to temper my tempo and say, let me just release myself and honor this particular assignment until I'm released or relieved from it.
Yeah, I love that. And just being aware that we may not always like them, but there was a lesson to be learned in all of them. I've gotten assigned to do some stuff as a teacher. I'm like, I don't want to watch these kids on this fire drill. But if that is my position, if I am not watching them, something can go haywire and then somebody's not accounted for. So whatever your assignment is, there is a reason for it, even if it seems minimal to you or it's something that you really don't want to do. So for the person that is saying, okay, I might not be in something I don't like, but how do I know how to activate it? Like they have something on the inside of them, but it's just kind of dormant. How do we go about activating assignments? What does that look like? Do I need somebody else to do it for me? Is it an internal thing? What does an activation of an assignment look like?
So something powerful you just said, I may be called to watch kids during a fire drill. I don't want to do that. But the importance about activating assignments is, if you allow yourself to go to through the process, the principles that need to be inside of you are already placed there. So as you are watching kids, what may be happening is your awareness is increasing. You're having to learn how to focus. You're having to learn how to use intentionality. You're learning how to move your well-being and yourself as a priority out of the way, because there are people that need shepherding. There are people that need protecting. There are people that need protocol and principles. Hey, we do this in this time, and then who knows, now you're now dealing with grown people, and that same assignment, those same things that you didn't like doing, you're dealing with people now who may not be children in the natural, but emotionally they might be children. They might not be in a mature place. And now, because you have been in an assignment, whether you liked it or not, you're able to say, hey, everybody, let's duck down. This is the time. Everybody get on your knees, put your heads down. Everybody cover your head and be quiet, because there's something happening and I know what to do. And so it's not that something had to happen magically to say, hey, I'm here now. It's that innately, that thing that you allowed because you went through the process to be in. Sometimes assignments are activated because there is a need. Sometimes you don't even know that something, I've always said this. That I felt like in my life, and some of you may feel like this as well. Like you're just like, I'm all over the place. First, I was doing this, and then I was doing that, and then I was over here. What in the world? I'm just out here being socially schizophrenic. But when you are in alignment, one of the things that happened is, my daughter said a couple of years ago, we were cleaning out the kitchen or something, and she was repackaging things, and she said nothing wasted. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. She was repurposing some things in the cabinet, and she was like, this was in one season we used it for this, but we can take this, break it up, and use it here. And I'm like, wait, what? So nothing wasted. And the Lord began to just even show me that there are times in my life when there are things that seem very trivial. There were things that seemed like it was a little bit beneath me, if we just gonna tell the truth. There were things that seemed like it was just busy work and it wasn't business. And I was just like, why am I going through this season? And now needs start showing up. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know how to do that. Wait a minute. I've dealt with that before. Wait a minute. I actually got a strategy. I ever never thought to apply it here, but I actually know how to do that. So sometimes what will happen is a need will arise, and that thing in you that you think is dormant, you think is pressed, because now, and sometimes, we can get ignited, and Sunny's Ignite podcast. Sometimes there's something called holy indignation. Sometimes when you see things and you realize that, wait a minute, this isn't fair. I don't like this. Somebody needs to say something, and you looking around, you're the somebody who has something to say.
Yeah.
But one of the things that has to happen when it really comes to the activation of our assignment, and I speak about this often with assignment alignment, is understanding the difference between us agreement and cooperation. And I think that is going to be important, because agreement is simply buying in. There's a scripture in Amos 3:3 that says, how can two walk together except they agree? Agreement is so powerful that it can bind as well as break. And so sometimes your assignment isn't activated because you've bound yourself to something. You've said, well, I can't do that. That's not even me. I'm not even at that level. Well, that's agreement. So you've just bound yourself to bondage, and you're wondering why there's no breakthrough, because you agreed it can bind you to something. Well, I'll always be at that level. I'll never be able to be at with them. And so agreement, I bought into the notion that that's not who I am. That's not what I can do. But agreement can also break something. You can make a decision to say, I'm no longer going to be in partnership with poverty. I'm not going to have the poverty mindset. I'm not going to, or I'm no longer going to notion that I don't have to be overwhelmed by that. And so I think the other part about that is the difference between the agreement and then now cooperation, though. And this is where activation comes from. Cooperation is active assistance. It means that you do something. The Bible talks about how, I think in Ephesians 3:20, it says, we quote it all the time. Now unto him who is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we can ask, think, or even imagine. And then we stop there. But the B clause says, according to cooperation, the power that works in you. And sometimes things are dormant because we're not doing. And they're simply dormant because we've just decided that, I'm not, I know what I'm supposed to do. I think I know, and we're not doing. And so we don't understand that the revelation is the issue isn't his ability, it is our compliance. He's able to do exceeding abundantly above whatever we ask or think. There's power in us, but you are not walking in cooperation. And so I'm remembering that he'll supply the power, but you have to supply the participation. Going back to your kids, you can tell them all day, I have the strategy to keep y'all safe. But if I'm saying get up and get in line and you stand in your seat, then when something happens, you don't get to turn around and say, well, I don't understand what happened. Well, I had the power, you just didn't have the participation. And so some of the things that we need to understand, and you said it earlier, I may not like my assignment. And we don't understand that there are times where we don't need to agree, we just need to participate. I don't agree with the season of my life, but I understand that this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Let me figure out a way to be compliant. Let me figure out a way to not always be confused about it. Let me find something to anchor to so that I can begin to get some of this stuff in me worded. Can I just say some of the reason that a lot of us and y'all, I really want to say, are stuck in this place? You're not stuck, you're just not sure. And you're not sure because you won't say it, you won't do it. And I think what happens is, I've said this often, that the emotion of fear is an assistant, but the spirit of fear is an assassin. And so the emotion of fear simply says there could be something wrong, be prepared. There could be something off, be aware. But the spirit of fear, because God didn't give us the spirit of fear, the spirit of fear says you're never going to do it. You go out there and do that, you're going to die, you're going to flunk. I don't know what's going to happen. And so there's power in you, but you've subdued that power. And so we've got to understand the tension, and we've got to understand the dichotomy between our cooperation and our agreement.
Well, y'all, I think we can go ahead and wrap it on up right here because I don't know if you can take any more. But when you said you're not dormant, you're just not doing, that is for so many people where they are 2 weeks before 2025, they are just sitting there hoping that on January 1st, something magical just happens and everything from their vision board just snaps into place, but they have not been in preparation for what that thing is. And also, like you said, there are things along the journey that we know how to do, we just haven't been doing them we have not transferred our talents. Like we are talented in things, but we thought we were only talented if I was in the classroom or if I was on stage. But your talents can be transferred. There are things that you know how to do, but I think that takes some reflection to say, hey, wait, I actually do know how to bring people together. I actually do know how to write. I can do this. I can write this book. I can write this manuscript. I can actually do it because I've done it just in a different season. And you've been talking to us about seasons, especially in the hideout, that time is not what we think it is. And so we have to pull from past seasons, even if you found that that was a season where it was a lot of heartbreak, a lot of loss. What did you gather from that season to bring in that's still alive? Because there are things that are still living, even if the season was not something you even want to think about. And I think that's what the enemy does. He wants us to forget about all of it, like act like none of it happened. And so you miss every lesson, every blessing that was in it. And now you have stuff sitting there, but you didn't transfer it because you just want to forget about it.
Mhm. And I think, one of the things, and that always goes back to, I've been teaching about antagonistic atmospheres. And when people get into a place of dormancy, when they get into a place where they feel like they're at a stalemate, a lot of times it's because they feel antagonized by what was, what could be. And I've been saying this lately, that we've got to learn how to be present in the present. A lot of us, we spend too much time being stuck in past seasons. Well, I remember when I used to have this, and I remember when at that time I was at the top of the game, or I remember when I flunked, when I thought I was going to fly. And so we're either stuck in our past, or we've already astro projected into our future. You're not there yet. And
Yeah.
so where are we right now? And as you said, we waiting for some magic dust to put us in a new place when we've not learned how to be present in the present. I've learned something, that a lot of times that fear, when it immobilizes us, it is a fear of these self imposed expectations that we have of ourselves. I've always said there's no expectation, there's no disappointment without expectation. And so sometimes we're disappointed by unrealistic expectations. It hadn't even happened yet. You hadn't even tried it yet. Nobody has even seen it yet. And you're already projecting how folks are going to respond, which leads me to, I've been saying this forever. I have this message out, I think on YouTube somewhere, that talks about the validation viper. You've just been bit by a validation viper. You could do it, but you're already immobilized. You're already dealing with the toxins of what people are going to talk about, and they haven't even started whispering yet. And I have this phrase, and you know this, over the years I've talked about free falling into faith. Sometimes we have to tell the truth and stop projecting perfection. I don't jump out of planes in purpose, because I already know that there's a plan and a pathway. Sometimes I just have to jump, and I realize, is there a parachute in my backpack? Do I even know? What if the wind blows a certain way and I don't land in the place where I thought I had plotted out and prepared for this? But what if I was supposed to land on the mountain and I mess around and land in the valley, or I land in a lake, and I'm not prepared? And so what happens in our natural body is, then we start binding ourselves up. We start holding ourselves in, getting tight, and we're going to hurt ourselves worse trying to protect ourselves than we would if we would just let go. And so I've realized, and I've said to people, that when I free fall into faith, I just make a decision that, listen, if I got pushed out of a plane, somewhere the Lord has packed and snuck a parachute in my backpack. And even if he didn't, and I fall and break my leg, there's a purpose in the hospital while I'm laying up there waiting, because I just believe that, faith without the work is still dead. And we like to say a lot of the times that there's a scripture we talk about, that we trust in the Lord with all our heart, and we lean to our own understanding, in all our ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct our path. But when we talk about activating assignments, the Lord had to reveal to me, and I tell the story a lot, when I was taking my daughter to school when she was still in high school, and they had this traffic director, this crossing guard. I couldn't stand him. He was mean, and he was a little ornery, and I was just, and most times, well, look at the revelation. Most times, the reason I didn't like him was because I was late. I was not prepared properly. I was distracted by something else, and I did not keep in alignment with what I was supposed to be doing. And so now, because I didn't do my due diligence, this is helping somebody. Now because I didn't do my due diligence, I'm mad at other people driving. They're going where they always were going to go. But now it's a problem for me because I was out of alignment. So now I'm mad. And by the time I get to him, I'm speeding. He trying to hit the hood of my car, telling me to slow down. I got an attitude. I want to run him over. And there are sometimes, no matter what the clock says, he says stop because you missed it and it's somebody else's turn. So
Yeah.
I got to sit there mad, seething because I didn't do my part. And so a lot of the times, and so he couldn't direct my path the Lord was trying to show me until I actually got moving. So regardless of whether he says not yet, regardless of whether he has to say you got up too late or maybe you too early, whatever it is, he's not going to direct what we don't give direction to. And so I had to start learning that I've got to start walking so that he can say, and I think and I sense a lot of people are like, well, but what if I start going the wrong way? Well, guess what? There's something beautiful about our GPSs that even if you go the wrong way, because they have an aerial view of every place and every location and every destination, they will route you and give you. Stop thinking it's only one way to get where you're supposed to be going. Stop diluting your destiny because you don't have the proximity to see that there is more than one way to get to your purpose. And so a lot of times, and let's just be honest, a lot of us are control freaks. A lot of us are perfectionistic, and we are sitting and we want things to go. I see one pathway, and this is the only. But he knows the ending of a thing from the beginning. And a lot of times we think because we got a front row seat, we don't realize he has an aerial view. And so we're just looking at it like it didn't work out. So I guess my purpose is over. Girl, that was one route. There is a million other routes to get you to the place. And maybe because you took a detour, you'll now run into something that you didn't run into before. I sense this for some of you all. There's some things you've been asking for and needing and wanting, and you're saying, I've been going this way and I don't see it yet and I don't sense it yet. Well, it might be because the route that you're taking is not the scenic route, it's the safe route. I felt that. You want the safe route, and your safe route simply gets you from point A to point B. You can see it, you can sense it, and guess what? You know what you're thinking about? I don't want traffic. I don't want to run into that. I don't want to pay toll fees. I just want to get here. Well, no wonder you can't get in a relationship. Well, no wonder opportunities aren't coming for you. Well, no wonder you're not in partnership with people that you are looking like that could help me in my purpose because you want the safe route and God's trying to give you the scenic route. He's saying, if you will allow this detour to take you out of where you thought you should be, how you thought you should get there, I will reroute you. And what you think is an escape is actually an adventure. You're thinking you're escaping what you're supposed to have. You're thinking that you're going to miss it. I'm not going to be there for it. No, I'm trying to give you an adventure. I'm trying to show you things that you would not have seen. I'm trying to put you in different pathways that you wouldn't have normally went. But we've got to learn how to let go and flow. So I felt that for somebody. So
No, and the link is thegiverslink.com, so you can sew into what you just heard. All of these things will be at the bottom of the show notes. That was so powerful. I told y'all, even if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, come watch YouTube. You are going to see something as she is speaking that is going to change everything for you. And what you said about the adventure. And me, I'm the safe person. How long it's gonna take there? I'm on Waze 2 days before I gotta take a trip. Now, not that Waze can predict that there's gonna be an accident the day of, but I just need to be as prepared as I could possibly be so that there are no mishaps. But God has been showing me, especially in 2025, girl, take your hands off of it. I got this. There have been so many twists and turns of things that I'm like, God, you had all that for me because the safe route was getting Danielle what she wanted. The guide route is getting Danielle stuff that is blowing her mind. And so when you understand that God has a route that is going to do the assignments that he keeps giving you are leading you to the next thing. He's not just randomly picking assignments out of a hat for you. They are strategic. They have your name on it. Now you can choose to do it or not because you still have free will. But if you choose to do so, then you are going to take an adventure of a lifetime. And God is so mindful of you. And he has good things for you. So even for me, when things are happening, I'm like, I don't know. And God like, but it's me. Like, why would I set you up for it to be anything better than good, better, not good. It's going to be good or better, basically. It is going to be what you thought it was going to be, but usually it's going to be 10, 100 times better than what you thought it was, because he knows our desires, the things that we don't say. He knows what he's put in the inside of us. And what you have been saying recently that completely, I had my eyes down and it made me look up and look around, is God has need of you. And so as we're talking about activating assignments in 2025, God has need of you. This is not just, oh, well, if you could come over and help, that would be great. That's not what we're doing in this season. It's no, I put something in you, I need it back. And I need it back with the maturity that you have gained over the years. So I might have put a seed, but it should have grown at this point. I should have a mature version of whatever I put in you, because he has need of you. There are people that need the words that he's giving you, that need the book, that need you in the classroom, that need you in corporate America. He has need of you. And so when we're talking about activating assignments, this not just because, oh, well, that's what she could do about this podcast. No, we're talking about it because he has need of you. This is a very personal thing. And so you need to be sitting with him and say, God, you need me. And Apostle, you talked about this last night, not when y'all here, but last night on the leadership call about the orphan spirit. And my God, today, because that is something when you feel like, oh, they don't need me, they'll do it without me. And God is like, no, I have need of you. You don't think you're as special as you are to God. Apostle, can you talk about a little bit with the orphan spirit, and then we're gonna kind of wrap up? But
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because I was talking about I taught a couple of months ago in Bible study in the Grow Gathering. I was talking about the story of Jonah, and I know I just did a teaching like that I've never heard, and I was basically saying in that God does not he doesn't have problems with selection. Like he actually does not need our input in how he selects things. He actually, because he's the manufacturer. So when he selects you, when he, I always Jeremiah 29:11, I give it a different one. He knew you before he grew you. Before you were formed, he already knew everything about you. And so he doesn't have selective amnesia. He didn't forget what's in you and what you're capable of. He didn't forget that. And so a lot of times we're discounting ourselves because we think that God does not know how to choose wisely. The Bible says that the prophet had to say, look, man is looking on the outside, and man could be you too. You're looking at what you look like in comparison to somebody else, but God is looking at, I know what I put in you. I know who I made you to be. I know what you're capable of, even if you don't know that. And so Jonah looking at himself is one thing, and God is looking like, I didn't need your permission to choose you. And one of the things I was saying and I was teaching on, it's funny, I was going to make a post about this, is the Lord gave me a strategy. And it said that a lot of times when it's leaders, what happens is we get into this orphan spirit. And I do a lot of studying and teaching in the orphan spirit, and it stops us. It's one of those things that assassinates us when we feel like we sometimes with the orphan spirit, we want to seek and to hide our own limitations. We don't want people to know that we can't do it all. But can I help you? That's not a surprise, and it's not a secret. You're the only person projecting perfection. We know you can. If you did come out of here like Superman, I would be looking at you funny because I would think you were electronically engineered. Like, no, we're human, so we are fallible. It makes us perceive the strengths of others as competition. So you think that because somebody else is exceeding, because somebody else is excelling or succeeding, you're thinking, well, they don't need my little 2 cent because they're doing that. And who is sitting here making these comparisons? A lot of a time it's self-imposed. Sometimes if we're not careful, we are attention seeking, and we're trying to say, well, I just need to stand out, which, let me just say, this is a reason why a lot of us have a problem connecting with folks, partnering with them, because we don't want to be in groups. Some of y'all need to be in mentorship. Some of y'all need a community. Some of you all need sisterhood. Some of you all need to be partnered with people so that you won't operate in paralysis. But because you're thinking, well, if I'm blending in, I won't stand out. The point isn't for you to stand out. The point is for you to stand up. And sometimes you need reinforcement. The Bible says, now unto him who is able to keep us from falling. And it also talks about if it, and the Bible says, I saw something foolish under the sun. I saw one person trying to toil alone and trying to do this thing alone. And he was saying, but that's crazy, because if you fall out, if you faint, who's going to help you up? If you get cold and be about to freeze to death, who's going to make you warm? And he's saying that's why you've got to connect with somebody else. You've got to, in this next season, hear me, be in partnership. That orphan spirit will always make you feel like you need to withdraw emotionally. It'll make you feel like you've got to withdraw physically. It'll make you feel like you need reassurance constantly by people. It will make you feel like you have a lack of confidence. Some of you all, it'll make you overcompensate in the wrong areas. You can't stand up and activating your gift because you've told yourself, I just want to be the support group. I don't want to be, I just want to be the support group. Well, what about being the leader of supporters? What about giving them strategies of how to support accurately? A lot of the times we can still do what we're called to do, but do this as being the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath, being a lender and not always the borrower. We borrowing somebody else's gift. We borrowing somebody else's confidence. We borrowing somebody else's, I'll just use what you have. No, what about yours? Yours is enough too. And so one of the things that we have to do is, and we talked about this, that performance orientation where we're always trying to outperform. Well, if I do good, if I look like this, if I say this, then I will be accepted. Well, now you're going to be in a place where you're going to always be chasing waterfalls. Now I always got to be perfect. Now I always got to have this. I can't show my humanity. Danielle will tell you one of the things that they're going to get is this authenticity and this vulnerability. And it does not do anything to take away from my power, my strength, my worth, my value, because I feel like in this next season, we are going to finally see leaders and finally see people walk into their authenticity. We're going to see the good and the bad. And I want to say this, and I know we're closing, but I felt this a lot of the times. The reason why we're not activating in our assignment is because we feel like we've been disappointed. We didn't get something we wanted. The idea that we had in our head about how our life should turn out or what it is we were going to do, it didn't happen. And now, if y'all tell the truth, you're upset, you're angry with the Lord, you're angry with people who you feel like maybe didn't come through, you're disappointed in yourself. But the Bible says no good thing will he withhold from you. If he withheld it, perhaps it was not good for you at the time. You might have thought it was good to you, but candy is good to you, it's not good for you. And sometimes you can get a good thing in a bad season. You can get the right thing in the wrong season, and now you wondering why you over here depressed because you got it too quick. You wondering why you over here defeated because you got it too soon. You wondering why you over here depleted because you got it too quick. And so we've got to recognize that he's not going to hold something good from us. So it might not be good for me now. It might not be good for me in this season. And if he did something, all things work together for. It didn't happen to, it happened for me. And so we've got to go and challenge the narrative of who we think we are and who we think we know God to be. And I wanted to say that for somebody as well.
Oh, well, listen, you heard all of this and it was so good. I know it was good. I know you probably sitting there like a deer with in headlights, right? But this is the level that you always get with Apostle E, Dr. E, whatever you might hear people call her. You're going to get this. And I know I've been getting it for the last almost 5 years, and it has not missed at all. Like, at all. I ain't tell y'all why I brought my Kleenex because my God. And what she gives it in such an authentic way that you know that she cares not just about saying it, but she cares about the people that are receiving it. Now, she ain't gonna cut no corners about your feelings, but she does care about the people on the other end receiving it. And she is doing that in such an amazing way. So, we're gonna talk about some of the ways that you can connect with Apostle E, with all of the things that she has going on. The main way, especially if you're a woman, listen, join the hideout. Apostle E is jointhehideout.com. Is that, yeah, jointhehideout.com. I have been in the hideout since season 1. The Danielle that walked into the hideout that was sitting in the corner Camera
Y'all,
off.
let me tell y'all a little something about Danielle. So I love this transformation. I have walked Danielle through some things. I'm just so proud. I love out loud. I don't just do this, one way. But the Danielle that was fearful, the Danielle that was people pleasing and performance oriented, and it still try to rear up, but I'm right there to say, no, no. The Danielle that was not sure, just always second guessing. I've watched this Danielle face fears. I've watched her say, I think something is I'm supposed to do something and I don't want to, but you know what? I think I'm saying I had to say, yeah, you're gonna have to let that die. And I had to sit with her as she grieved what she thought. This was supposed to be great. And I got to grieve this. And I've got to let this go fully. Sometimes when we think about activating purpose, we think that means, oh, every time I look up, Danielle doing this, and every time I look up, Danielle launching this, and every time I look up, and what y'all are not saying is though, but if you look down, you'll see her on the floor crying and grieving and weeping and fighting and asking the Lord, are you sure? And reaching out to me to say, I can't do this. I can't handle another one of these things.
Yeah.
This cannot happen. And but the truth is though, being able to trust and say, you know what? I trust God. I'm getting wise counsel. We're just gonna try it and we're just gonna see. And calling to say, oh my God, guess what happened? And I'm always like, yeah, right. I mean, what did you think was going?
Yeah.
That's what I thought was gonna happen. But then even, well, hey, I did this for a while and I think this is shifting. Right, then shift with it. And I started watching the more she took hands off and allowed those things, God was breaking the paralysis. He was breaking false expectations. He was breaking the expectations that cause. Sometimes we break our own heart because we just believe this gotta be it. It's got to. I can't see another way. I can't. And then when it doesn't happen, we think somebody hurt our feelings.
It
Yes.
was.
And so watching her keep starting over, and I know y'all have seen, she just keeps getting better, more revelation, and if you're a part of anything we're doing, you're getting ready to see her lead in a different way, see her show up in a way that I believe is going to surprise her. One of the ways you activate assignments is you just let somebody who you can trust put you under the bus, just throw you out there. So I'm just throwing her out there and saying, you got it. You're not gonna fall. I'm not going to let you fall. You're not going to fall. Now you might hit your knee, you might scrub that elbow for a minute, but you're not gonna fall. And if you do fall, you're not gonna break. And I think the beautiful part that I've watched her see was that she was not as fragile as she thought she was. She was not as brittle as she thought. She was not as broken as she thought. She thought that I was going to get, and there's impartation that is real when you're with somebody who is confident and bold and has authority. It's going to rub off on you. But the truth is that boldness was there. I just needed to take away some of that other stuff that was causing it to be not seen and submerged and subdued, and say, if I can move this out the way, now say that same thing again. And like, where did that boldness come? It was always
Yeah.
there. There's a message that I taught it's on YouTube called Stop Hiding Behind the Curtain. And it talks about the Wizard of Oz. And basically, by the time you get to the wizard, you thinking the wizard is about to razzle dazzle and say, okay, Danielle, I'm saying, girl, what you needed was already in you the whole time. You was looking at me. The wizard had his own insecurities. He had his own stuff. You already had what it took to get you back to what you were called to do and purpose to do. And that's for some of you. You already got it. You just need to be in a place with people that's going to preserve you, that's going to push you, that's going to promote you, that's going to prune you. But ultimately position you to be propelled into your purpose. And I pray, I know this podcast is going to be one of those things as well.
And so with all of that, join the hideout.com. You are going to have a space that is consistently safe. Some of you don't know what that feels like. I
Mm.
did not know what that felt like. Consistently safe. Not always safe the first month, and then by the last month, everybody talking about each other, and we got subliminals on Facebook. No, no, no. I mean, consistently safe, where you might find some of your best friends where you're going to find prayer partners. You're going to find people that support you in ministry, in business, whatever that looks like, because it's a community that has been built off of vulnerability. And I always say this, Apostle E leads and she's healed. She is not bleeding on anybody. She is not, even if things are frustrating, she's not lashing out in anger at anybody. Whatever she does with that is on her own, but we don't see that. We get the loving, affectionate, get it together, but we going that's what we're gonna get. And so in the hideout, I admonish you to join. Even when I had the transformation chamber, I was like, enjoying the hideout too. Like I didn't what don't negate the whatever. Join the hideout. When I tell you there are women in there that are going to motivate you, just a different community. You tired of going to the mall every weekend with your friends anyway and brunch. Nothing's happening. So you might as well get around women that are actively engaged in what God is calling them to do, that are vulnerable enough to share so that you can be supported in this season. You are going to need that more than ever. I'm telling you, and it's amazing. So outside of the house, so women, if you don't listen to another podcast, join the hideout. I'll see you inside of there. I don't care if you never listen again. As long as you get inside of the hideout, I promise you your life will never be the same again. The Danielle that you knew, depending on how long you knew me, I'm not her. She does not live here anymore. She couldn't. There was it was only residue anyway. When I first started the hideout, I would say I felt like a kid. Like I felt really young. I wasn't that young. I was like 32, 33, but I felt so young. I felt like a baby. Having this conversation and even having the ability to ask her to be on, I'm like, damn, you an adult. You grown. Like you're a grown person. And you have done things and you can speak freely. Like you're not hiding under a rock. But if that is you and you feel like, oh, I just don't know, get in the hideout. I promise you, you will stop hiding. The last season, I did more in 6 months than I had done in my whole life. Every week, I'm like, what is happening? Because it was blueprints and billboards. So whatever the topic is, you have, because like she said, you didn't just agree with it, you're participating. So it has no other way but to manifest in your life. And so join the hideout.com. All of the links will be there. And also the Grow Gatherings. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Grow Gathering and how people
My
can be?
God. So the Grow Gathering is a center of advancement. It's not a church. It's not. It's an advancement community where, in whatever area you're called in, we position people and processes and programs to support you. So if you need a spiritual development. There's Revelation Realm where you get Bible study and where you have intercession prayer groups if you're called to prayer, if you have burdens for people and ministry. We're getting ready to launch spiritual gifts training and ministry training. If you know you're called, but you just are like, I know I'm called and I may even be credentialed, but I don't feel like I have gotten resourced the right way. We have that. But then we have the Strategy Sanctuary for entrepreneurs that give them resources. I come in there and teach like alignment strategies, all kind of stuff. We have people who are experts that'll be teaching. Danielle will be teaching this year as well, and we're excited. We have health hubs where we have fitness, and we have a lot of nurses and actual trainers, health trainers that are a part of our leaders. We have a wealth hub where we actually have wealth strategists that are there teaching us how to buy homes, how to buy land, how to budget, how to invest, all of these different things that are there. And then, of course, it's me with the personal development and the hideout. And so you get to hide in the hideout, so you'll stop hiding when you out there, right? And so it's a powerful thing. We have so many things we're getting ready to launch for 2025. We don't want you to miss it, right? And you can do it at your level of convenience. You can come in for free and come in and have fellowship. And I love that Danielle has always said it's like social media without all of the drama, without all of the we can come in there and post. We said last night we just had a night of celebration with the leaders. We just want to celebrate you. They know we're not hating, we're not looking crazy. We're just going to celebrate. And that's something that I know people don't get. So you can go to thegrowgathering.com. We would love to have you be a part. And if you really got a gift, we're probably going to put you to work. So be easy when you come up in there because we're not coming just to sit. We coming to see. So yeah, so thegrowgathering.com.
Love that. And I know she said come in on the free. No, no, no. I need you to come in at the Strategy Sanctuary because the level of investment that you put in is what you receive. And so, and it's a minimal investment. Come in knowing that you are about to get something that you've never gotten before. Because that is the level of teaching, the level of strategy, the level of everything that you are going to get. It is worth it's going to you're gonna like that's all I paid just that for all it is. And so come in, you looking for something to give yourself for Christmas, there you go. Here's your Christmas
There you go.
strategy
See, she
session
sound like me, y'all.
for the whole year, pay for strategy session monthly, whatever that looks like. You looking to give a gift, give them the strategy sanctuary because you tired of trying to answer all their questions anyway. So get them in front of somebody that can, but make that investment so that you can have access to things beyond what you ever thought you would have without going back to college. I feel like I'm getting two doctorates at the same time. That's how it goes in there, right? But it's not so above you where you like, I don't know what she's talking about. It's broken down really well, but it expands your capacity. You need to be in places that you not the smartest person in the room.
Come on now.
In that place, in the hideout, in the strategy saying it won't be you, and that's okay because you need places so you can be fed, so you can be nourished again because you're pouring out so much. So if you listen to this, hey, I want to see you at Bible study, of course, but I need you to join at the strategy sanctuary level because you are not going to be the same. You heard Jade the last episode. Jade is in the hideout. That's where I met Jade at, right? Fully
Yep.
when we really connected. And so I'm not hanging around with nobody that's just like, oh, I don't know. No, bump that. No, I need you at the same level that I am, that we doing life together. Some
That's
of y'all
right.
doing life with people that you should have left. Like they not there no more, right? And you are elevating. So make that investment. Birthday gift, Christmas present. You looking for something for the new year, your New Year's resolution. Baby, I know you want to join the gym, but join the Strategy Sanctuary because at least you're gonna show up for that, right? Like you gonna do what you need to do, okay? And then we're gonna add the gym on. But let's make some wise investments as we go into 2025. Apostle E, thank you so much for all of this. I know that people are going to be raving about this episode and joining and connecting and doing whatever they need to do to stay connected to who you are and the gift that is on your life. It is my deep honor and pleasure to know you, right? To
Oh,
have that. Even less something be going on, he be like, you talked to Apostle E about it. Like, okay, let me send a voice note. But that I mean, you are a household name in my home. Like we just know, and so I'm grateful, I'm honored, and thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. It has been well spent, and I know that it is going to change lives. So thank you.
well,
Thank
I'm grateful for being here and for everybody that's watching. If you were looking for a sign, listen, I talk about the dangers of delay. God is not obligated to revisit a season. And so sometimes we think that we're going to be able to get this chance. Well, not right now. I'm going to do it. Let's hope we get these seasons. And that's not even about joining. That's about to operate in your purpose, to be fully who he's called you to be, to walk in the totality of what you're called to do. He's not obligated to revisit seasons that you've allowed to cease. And so while you have the time, the tenacity, the tenure, while you have it, I would not, I always said, when I leave this earth, I want to leave empty. Not full of ideas. And some of you all, I know we're leaving, but I got to give you a Tupac tone. Some of you all are, I believe that you are conceptually rich, but you executionally poor. You got all of these ideas in your notebooks and all of this stuff, and it ain't seen a light of day. It's time for you to allow this blessing to make you rich and add no sorrow. It is your time, and this is your sign.
We can't wait to see you inside. We're gonna be looking for you. If when you join, say, "Hey, I came here from the podcast." Like,
That's
let us
right.
know why you got, how you got here. Because y'all listening, I'll be getting tags and all kinds of stuff. Do not miss this. You still have time to join the hideout. If you're a woman, get in there. I promise you, you will not regret it. And God, you didn't hear this just because, oh, I just happened upon the podcast. No, He wanted you to hear it, and you
Mhm.
heard it. Now, what you gonna do with it? The
Mhm.
decision is yours. So thank you for joining us on the Reignite Podcast. Over here, we're activating assignments and burying burnout. We will see you next time. Bye bye.